Alright, so stay tuned for the setup of the new gallon for the wedge system. Since the last video, less than 12 hours ago, I've already decided to go with a bigger bucket to do the wedge system, because I want to use the 40 gallon that will fit right here comfortably for me to start this wedge method, and I'll show you by what wedge it is. Okay, so basically the wedge system is you feed on one end, so I want to feed on this end, and as the months and the weeks go by, it fills up, and by the time it gets down to here, it'll be nothing but castings, because the goal is for the worms to travel back down here to eat. So that's the wedge system. If you're not familiar, I'll show a graph here. So you feed down here, put bedding on here, castings will move down until they're completely finished here and free of worms and dry and ready to be used in your garden and your plants. So right now, these are almost finished castings. You can see I put some worms in him to try to finish them off. And so now the transferring of stuff. Why am I switching? Okay, there's nothing wrong with having a tower system, but to me, these are for small gardens that don't need a lot of castings, families that don't have a lot of scraps. So yeah, but it gets filled up really fast. It gets filled up really fast, and to me it stays too wet. But I don't plan on getting rid of these. I plan on just temporarily moving all the worms in this system to the 40 tub. I'm excited to get started. Let me see if I could set you guys up to see what I did. Okay. This is a previous bin that I had it was so wet I had to add in some cardboard and put some worms back in it to finish processing it. And during that time I decided, well, I want to do the wedge method instead of the bin, and I'll probably use this later. So this is what we're starting with. I got more worms coming, and I'll be adding more bins in a couple of days, but I'll be adding food to this as well as pre-compost. So I'll add food here, and as it dries out, it'll be this will be the wet end, and down here would be the dry end. That way I don't have to sift as they'll move out of the dry castings themselves. That's the goal, that's the plan. But the goal here is to learn different worms, as well as create the worms that create the most casting in the most efficient time or less time needed, because I'm going to need castings right around May.
So I ended up purchasing a 1,500 worms to add to the bin.
So this is my active worm bin. Let me bring you in closer. Probably for about a month now. So it's kind of early in the process. I got European night crawlers, red wigglers, Indian blue worms, all in one bin. Look at that. Let me get these off here when I put that on. Scared of worms? Don't be scared of worms. Okay. They're kind of active because it's raining and storming, actually. And when it storms, they get a little active. So I'll just real quickly show you what's going on beneath the surface. Come a little closer here, because this side is the most active. I just put in a piece of squash that I have frozen. Let's see. I just fed them earlier today. So they're in there eating the squash. So I just put them in here, so let me put that back in here. For the most part, being that it's only been a month, I said they're doing a good job.
Several months later. Many months later.
Okay. So we're moving these down so I can add more food to the bin. These are, the more I get to the other edge of the bin, the more worms you'll see. Fun side of things. Here we go. Hello guys. Hello everyone. Hello. Stick that there. More worms you'll see. And really a lot of castings that's ready. This right here used to be a t-shirt. It ain't a t-shirt no more. They ate it. Alright, now we're getting more wet, more worms. It's probably about between 3,000 and 4,000 worms in here since I switched to this large container. So the population is not too bad. Now we it's starting to get into more food and material, so we just spread it out like that. See all the worms? A lot more worms. Like I said, this is the business end of things. They down here eating. I put in some banana peels. I put in some, I think it was some lettuce. Corn on the cob was down here. I don't know where it is. I don't feel it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, piece of corn on the cob. So the big pieces I always put back at the top. Need more room right here, so I'm gonna move the middle of the container further out. A lot of worms, a lot of worms. Should be some apples in here too. Yep. I don't know where my gloves are, but we're doing all right. There's a worm ball here. Somebody working on something right there. So as you can see, I got a lot of worms. Because most of the videos that I've had haven't had a lot of worms. But I got a lot of worms. You just ain't seen them. And they are doing a great job breaking down the food I put in. And I know if you're a beginner, you're gonna be like, why are you disturbing them? You have to keep the bin healthy and not anaerobic, where stuff is spoiling and smelling rotten in your house. I mean, if you're outside, I'm sure you wouldn't mind it, but this is in my basement. I don't want to smell it in the house. So I air it out basically about twice a month. Some people do it once a month. I do mine twice a month. Just so I can check also to see if I need to add more food, which I do. Add more food and some more bedding. Be right back. Okay, so this is some squash from last season. I've been saving in my freezer. Then I'm gonna add some worm chow on top. Then I'll add some bedding. Then I'm gonna moisten the bedding. As y'all can see, the worms have dug deep because of the light. They don't like the light, but they're in there. Keep this covered, keep that in moist. And then on this end, let's see if I can switch it. Alright, so as you can see, since we moved, there's a little bit more worm activity right here, but I'm not harvesting right now. And they will migrate back to the food. Here's a piece of food there. Put it back down there.
2 weeks later.
Because I took some out yesterday and moved some down here, there should be some worms down here, and if there are, I'll move them. Handy dandy gloves. And I just take a handful out at a time. Take it from the top. Here's a worm. I'll stick it under here. So it's pretty dry down here. No, it's moist. Like I saw a worm there. I can squeeze and it'll stick. So that's the consistency I'm looking for. If there are worms in here, they're all going in my garden, so I don't mind at all. But as you can see, the population on this end is low. There's one, so if there are any eggs in here, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not harvesting eggs, so they will definitely hatch in the garden. So yesterday there was a lot. These are a lot of baby worms. The bigger worms are migrating. We're starting to get in a little bit more moisture. And a little bit more worms, but they're migrating. See? So when you start to see a little bit more worms, that's the less dried out. So I started most of this in January, February. It's May now, so yeah, harvesting. It's time to harvest. Get that out of there. Alright, here's the last of what I'm grabbing out today. I see a worm right here. I'm gonna put back in. So there are some broken down like cardboards that like this right here, pieces that can go in my garden, some leaf mold there. And so I got maybe 4 gallons out of worm castings. So I'll probably harvest again in probably 2 months or a month. It's the growing season, so maybe a month. And I just plan to add these to the garden beds to continue adding microbial life to the bins and bags and buckets that I have to feed the microbes, and which will feed the plants. That's all what it's worth. That's what it's worth. Go. Alright, I haven't done a garden tour yet, but I will because I have planted and literally about to harvest. But I wanted to show how I'm going to use my worm castings in the garden. This is a new garden. Yes, it has worm activity. I did amend it. I did add bone meal and everything that you can think of yeast to bring more worms to the bed. But I want to add more life to it around the base of the plant. Yeah, I might work some maybe in it. Yeah. It's supposed to rain again tomorrow, so this will be incorporated into the soil in no time. Alright, did all the beds and got a lot left. So it was almost 5-gallon bucket full of worm castings. Yeah. So this is my first time using worm castings in the garden, so especially my own worm castings. I have so much of it. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. So if you are interested in making your own worm castings, there's so many videos on YouTube you can watch, and you could put some of my figs here, and you can alright, so like I said, you know, so many ways you can do it. No, you don't have to do it. So you know, don't put pressure on yourself to make worm castings. Don't put pressure on yourself to do composting. I like it. Number one, it's fun. You get to reuse your waste, and you get to create things that's beneficial for your garden, especially your soil. Putting life back in your soil, because as a container garden, the rain and the water washes out more quickly than they would in ground. So you want to have something that you can use to replace it, and not just put chemicals on it constantly. You know, build good soil, and you don't need all that chemical fertilizer. Anyway, tell a friend to a friend. I'm having so much fun. See you in the next one.